to get through with you in a short amount of time, so I wanted to turn to other issues and India. This came from the president this morning on social media. It looks like we've lost India, and Russia for that matter, to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together. This relationship between the US and India has clearly soured. You yourself said earlier this year that India rubbed the US the wrong way. There's an understandable tension that continues to build. But they're not the only ones buying Russian energy. The Chinese are buying Russian energy, and for that matter, the Europeans too. And I think there's a sense from the Indian side, Mr. Secretary, that they feel singled out, perhaps unfairly. What's your comment, your message for them this morning?
Well, remember, before the Russian conflict, the Indians bought less than 2% of their oil from Russia. Less than 2%. And now they're buying 40% of their oil from Russia. What they're doing is, because the oil is sanctioned, it's really, really cheap because the Russians are trying to find people to buy it. And so the Indians have just decided, the heck with it. Let's buy it cheap and make a ton of money. But you know what? That is just plain wrong. It's ridiculous. And they either need to decide which side they want to be on. You know, what's funny is, remember, the Chinese sell. The Chinese, well, we're always willing to talk. The Chinese sell to us. The Indians sell to us. They're not going to be able to sell to each other. We are the consumer of the world. People have to remember, it's our $30 trillion economy that is the consumer of the world. So eventually they all have to come back to the customer, because we all know eventually the customer is always right.
When you are talking with India, Mr. Secretary, I know a lot of companies in the U.S. have shifted manufacturing to India from China, so there's a real interest in this in terms of their costs. How much do you feel like you've lost leverage as a result of the court case that came out fairly recently?
We haven't lost anything with respect to the court case. If you look at the dissent, right, it was 7-4. Read the dissent. The current Chief Justice sided with President Trump. The former Chief Justice sided with President Trump. And the incoming Chief Justice sided with President Trump. And the smartest guy on the bench, which is well known who the smartest guy on the bench is, he sided with Donald Trump. So I think you are going to see the Supreme Court side with Donald Trump. And I don't think we've lost leverage. What we've lost is that India doesn't yet want to open their market, stop buying Russian oil, right? And stop being a part of BRICS, right? They're the vowel between Russia and China. If that's who you want to be, go be it. But either support the dollar, support the United States of America, support your biggest client, who is the American consumer, or I guess you're going to pay a 50% tariff. And let's see how long this lasts.
It seems like there's been a hardening of the line, both with President Trump as well as Modi, and a sense that there isn't really a coming together. In fact, that meeting with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Modi seemed to indicate a coalescing of the BRICS. Do you see anywhere in the next month, 2 months, any type of deal or backing down to a lower rate with India?
I would expect, like you saw it in Canada, right? Carney got elected with this term, elbows up, meaning let's fight with America. They put on retaliatory tariffs. They were all bravado. And what happened? Their GDP negative 1.6%, unemployment rocketing towards 8%. And what did Carney just do? He just finally dropped his retaliatory tariffs. So I think what happens is it's all bravado because you think it feels good to fight with the biggest client in the world. But eventually, your businesses are going to say, you've got to stop this and go make your deal with America. So I think, yes, in a month or 2 months, I think India is going to be at the table, and they're going to say they're sorry, and they're going to try to make a deal with Donald Trump. And it will be on Donald Trump's desk how he wants to deal with Modi. And we leave that to him. That's why he's the president.
Speaking of making a deal, I understand the Swiss are in town. Just hearing that the Swiss vice president has turned up in the United